Good morning, my love muffins. Reverend Sue from All Paths to God, recording live from my living room. Know the truth? I heard you. And the truth shall set us free. We all want to be free, don't we? We all want to be free of our burdens and our dramas and our frustrations and our pains and our suffering. We all want to be free and just experience that inner peace that we know is the truth of who we are, that we know is the truth of who we're meant to be. And we want that inner peace regardless of circumstances that are going on around us. Good luck with that. I was talking to a congregation member and a dear friend this week several times who was going through a very difficult time. Her son is ill and she just lost her daughter in the spring, and she's very distraught and upset. And the last thing she said to me yesterday was, "Well, I sure hope your sermon pulls me out of this because I've been down in the dumps." And I thought to myself, good luck with that. Pulling ourselves out of the dumps. We've all been there. It reminded me of an article that I read in Psychology Today, and I wish I could remember the author's name, but the author posed the question, have you ever felt like it was a major achievement just to make it through another day with your will to live intact, let alone experience or find inner peace? Days where you just feel the weight of life's burdens and you don't seem to really have hope that it's going to change or get better. We all know those days. And it seems that those days are amplified as we age. I mean, our body becomes more fragile and betrays us, so we have more ailing and failing. Our mind becomes less stable, and so we have more confusion and forgetting. And have you ever noticed that we forget to eat? We forget our husband's name. We forget what we were talking about 2 seconds ago, but we never seem to forget what burdens us and what pains us. Wish they could change the equation on that. And we experience more losses because of the natural stage of life that we're in. And so we're more prone to frequent heartache. And at this particular time in our history, that's even amplified further by the impact of this worldwide COVID virus. It's keeping us isolated, it's keeping us separated, it's keeping us uncertain, and so it creates its own burden that we carry. And then there's this unusual, seemingly, amount of political and social discord in our country, and that's creating a lot of stress. So there's a lot of burden baggage that we're carrying around, even under the best of circumstances. So, yeah, I think we've all had days where it feels like an achievement to just get through another day with our will to live intact. So, my friend, how am I doing about lifting you out of the dumps? Well, interestingly, when I went to write the sermon and open a document to begin typing, I already had a document saved with this date and one sentence written in it, which often happens if something catches my attention during the week, and I may not at that time develop the idea or have any idea even what or where it's supposed to go. But come sermon time, it seems to all fit together. And so the one sentence that was written on the page was, "It ain't baggage if you don't carry it around." What New Thought teaches isn't that we won't experience life's pains and burdens. It's that we don't need to make them a way of life. As the Psychology Today article explains, good stuff happens and bad stuff happens. Good thoughts happen and bad thoughts happen. The road we travel in life is very bumpy. And the people who find a path to inner peace simply don't get bogged down in the mind's web of concerns. They don't get stuck in negative, worrisome thought ruts, which reminds me of the sign that I love that was posted in New York where there was construction on the major interstate, apologizing for the inconvenience. And the sign said, pick your rut carefully. You're going to be in it for the next 20 miles. Well, we're in some thought ruts for more than 20 miles. And it's the people who find peace despite this don't get in that thought rut. It's not that they don't have negative thoughts. Everybody has negative thoughts. It's that they don't become bogged down by them. They don't get weighed down by the baggage. I went to a lecture when I was new to learning to be a therapist. And it was a famous family therapist, the type that has 1,000 people in the audience. And someone asked a question and he answered it in a way I remembered the rest of my life. And they asked the question, since mental health issues actually resemble everyday life issues like anxiety and depression and anger management and attention, how do you know when it's a problem? And the therapist answered so profoundly, if it's one damn thing after the next, there's no problem. That's normal life. That's the way things are. But if it's the same damn thing over and over again, that's when you have a problem. Well, that really is very profound. Because the over and over again is when we're stuck. Which just means that we think so much about what's ailing us, what's hurting us, what's harming us, what's wounding us, that we end up carrying the weight of that burden along with us everywhere we go, for everything we do. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't cry and that we don't grieve and that we don't have temper tantrums, even more than once. But those responses are functional and they're beneficial. They actually serve a purpose, even if it's just to vent pent up stress in the body and bring the body's natural chemistry into a state of more relaxation. They serve a purpose, a functional, beneficial purpose. And that purpose lightens our burdens. It lessens the load that we're carrying. But it's a problem when they persist and when they infiltrate into everything we're doing, everybody we're with, everywhere we go, and they reproduce. Then we're carrying baggage to our detriment. It's not serving us. In this case, it's detracting from those things that would ease our spirit, ease our soul, ease our body, ease our sense of being. We teach a class that we use as an exercise for helping people understanding the power of thought. And we do a meditation where you imagine having been given this big, tall burlap sack. And then the guided meditation starts taking you through this idea of your pain and suffering, where you're stuck and where you're in ruts. So what are those things? What are those ideas of what you so much want to have and you just don't have it? What is it? More money? A significant relationship? More peace in your home life? More harmony in your physical body? Where we want something that we just don't have. And we think of it over and over again in a million different aspects. And so it tells you to think of that thing and take a potato and write on the potato what that thing is. Not enough money. Put it in the bag. And then when you think about it again, put it on the potato and put it in the bag. And to think about things like you don't want and you do have. I don't want to be sick, but I can't help that. I don't want to be angry, but I can't seem to help that. Take those things, because we go over and over and over them again and again and again. Write them on a potato, put them in the bag. What types of things do we so desperately want to do that we can't do? My father always says, you know, my mind is young and able to do this job, but my physical body just rebels. So what is it that we want to do that we can't do? Or what is it that we want to fix that we can't fix? Write those things on a potato and put it in the bag. If we never visit them again, they'll just disappear. But if they go through our minds over and over again, we just write another potato, put it in the bag. Write another potato, put it in the bag. And then it instructs you to imagine how many potatoes are in that bag. And then instructs you to carry the bag around with you. Carry it everywhere you go, from the moment you get up in the morning. You can't go get a shower in the morning without carrying it. You can't go to the kitchen and make your breakfast without carrying it. You can't go out for your walk in the neighborhood without carrying it. And you're not allowed to cheat. You're not allowed to put it in a wagon, or physically have to carry the bag. And as you have those thoughts over and over again that don't serve you, write it on a potato, put it in the bag. So the bag is growing and getting heavier. And you have to carry it through the day with you, every place you go. Grocery shopping, going to meet your friends to play cards, carry the bag. And you snuggle up with it at night when it's bedtime. These potatoes are your repetitious thoughts, your burden thoughts, your baggage thoughts. And you've paid for them with your life. You've paid for them with your moments, with your thoughts and your feelings. You've sacrificed your joy for these thoughts. So at the end of it, it asks, isn't it a hassle to carry this bag around with you? Wasn't it a problem visioning carrying it with you all day long, everywhere you went? And it asks you to imagine, what if you now have to carry the bag again everywhere you go tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that, for a week, for a month, for a year. And every day, the bag just keeps getting bigger and heavier. Well, this is the price we pay for keeping our fear and our doubt and our attention on the things that burden our hearts, that hurt our hearts. This is the price we pay for clutching on to this baggage beyond its usefulness, beyond its serving to call us to emotionally express, to reach out and seek support, to do those things that then bring back stability. This is the cost our spirit and our soul pays when we feed a constant diet over and over and over again of what we can't have, what we do have that we don't want, what we can't fix. When we feed it a negative diet of burden baggage. But it ain't baggage if you don't carry it around. So open your heart to the wisdom the bag of potatoes can teach us. The next time our mind wants to travel that same bumpy road over and over and over and over again, think, isn't my bag heavy enough? You can choose to stop adding to the bag. You can choose to leave the burden behind and lighten the load. You can simply begin to fill your bag with the light of truth. The truth of who you are. The truth of who you're meant to be. A steady diet of truth always lightens the load. The more you feed it, the lighter the load gets. Alan Cohen, in A Daily Dose of Insanity, I believe that's where it was written, told a great story of when he was traveling, being in the airport, and he noticed a sign that said, "The purpose of a suitcase is to protect its contents. Cuts, scrapes, scratches are a normal part of transportation wear and tear." Humanity is a suitcase for divinity. Transportation wear and tear is a normal part of life. It cannot be avoided, nor can it adversely affect the precious content inside. It's virtually impossible to keep the outer casing from getting bumped or bruised or old. But one day, each of our human suitcases will have outlived their usefulness for us, and we'll choose to discard them. But when our suitcase is opened, it will reveal and release its unhurt, unharmed, unspoiled contents. And it's that something inside of us, that something divine that is greater than the circumstances and the burdens outside of us. So your mission, my friends, if you so choose to accept it, it ain't baggage if you don't carry it around. So, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head Love Muffin, ask yourself, do you want to keep carrying this around with you? Is it serving you? And if not, open your heart to the wisdom that this bag of potatoes can teach us. And feed truth. Feed light to this place that wants to be preoccupied with burdens. Obviously, if you feed light, it'll lighten the load. So my dear friend who wanted to be lifted from the dumps, we're not a congregation, a gathering of skeptics. Even though we wrestle with our skepticism about the power of grace and God and good within, we're a gathering of visionaries, of believers that know the truth. And so our journey, no matter what life is dealing with us at any one time, is to feed that truth to our heart as much as we can. And when we can't seem to feed a diet to ourselves because we're stuck in that rut of over and over again what doesn't serve us, then we reach out to our other visionaries, to our other light workers, and request their support. Together we can lift each other when we get stuck in those traps. So, from my heart to yours, Mrs. Potato Head, you are surrounded with love and support, as is true for our entire congregation. So, it ain't baggage if you don't carry it around. And we don't want to carry it around 1 second beyond when it serves us. We are the people, now is the time, and this is the way. Namaste, my friends.